Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of CEO and Market Expert Interviews. I'm your host, Lucy, and some of you know me as Triangle Investor from social medias. Today, I'm joined by Bradley Rourke, Chief Executive Officer for Scottie Resources Corp. Scottie Resources has assets in Golden Triangle of British Columbia. So, Brad, you are for the first time my guest. Warm welcome to you. Thanks for coming.
I appreciate you having me on, and very nice meeting you.
Today, we will cover your company's projects, plans, and much more. But before we do that, tell me a bit about your background and your origin story, please.
Sure. I'm from Canada, Western Canada, mostly born and raised in Calgary. Half my life, I've lived up near the asset that we're going to speak about here in a moment, and then half in Calgary. Even though I'm on Vancouver Island right now, I've always been an entrepreneur and started in mining services in, I think, 1990, 89, 90, and I started doing mining service work, claim staking, building camps. I ran avalanche programs, and that got me familiar with the capital markets and the service side of the mining. And from there, when mining stopped in about 97, 98 in British Columbia, has had some difficult time where mining kind of shifted to South America. I left northern BC and went back to Calgary, where I was born, and eventually, fast forward in that short period of time, in about 8-9 years, I was running an EMD, an exempt market dealer, which would be the same as today and on the banking side. But I was in Calgary and at the right place at the right time. So I was very, very fortunate. Got on the front end of the second largest IPO in the history of Canada. So I put together a little company called Athabasca Oil Sands, and that allowed me to essentially, I thought I was retiring in 2006, and I moved back to the north to raise my kids. And then led me to this, what we're doing today. And I started out as with Scottie as an investor in this company, took it over about 9 years ago. So I've done a lot of energy related investing, real estate, cut my teeth in mining, and now I'm back in the mining side, albeit with shiny shoes and waving my arms. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story. Brad, I want to hear your take on the overall gold equities performance. I talked with a lot of experts recently, and they are all saying the same thing, that gold miners and explorers could see a big run soon. Could that finally be the case? After all, we are seeing record high gold prices.
Well, I think yes, but then everyone's just going to go, I've been saying it for so long. But, sure, the gold price has done what we expected it to, and maybe even more. I don't think 2,500 was on many bingo cards from the smarter guys who influence this industry. But here we are today. Now, the equities are very frustrating, especially when you come as far down the chain as where I sit. But I mean, listen, if you would have bought Newmont, Barrick, Kinross, and Nico 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago, I suspect you're very happy. And that excites me, because I know that, of course, and I own those stocks, so I'm intimately aware of them and have been for many years. But those have to move before it would trickle down to the developer stage, and then it comes to us. So at least that first stage, and we've had a few head fakes over the last, I got involved in 2016. But I think this is real, and a lot to do with, we shouldn't get into a macro conversation, but the Basel III and the central banks are buying gold and these things that are all coming to fruition. But what excites me the most is, I've held Barrick for, oh my gosh, a very long time, and it just never left $23. I think that's US dollars. Now it's 27. That's nice. But Newmont's gone from 30 to 50, and Kinross is almost a double. And so that excites me, knowing that if that holds in, and I believe, it's not long before things start reacting. There's that rotation of money into winning stories and parlaying down, and that's how it works. And I've been through a few cycles, and so those things have to happen. And as far as I can see, they are happening. So it won't be long now. We're closer to where we want to be than we are from when we started, for sure.
Yeah, good point. Let's cover your projects, and we will do that We will start that with your Scottie Gold Mine Project. Give us an overview of this project and, of course, give us an update on the progress of the current drill campaign of the property.
Sure. So, as I said, I was an investor, and what got me excited about it is I was living in Little Smithers, and that's where Peridium's head office was, is KSM's head office, or the operation office. Two really, really, really good stories. And when they're building that Bruce Jack power line up to Scottie, up past Scottie Gold to power the Bruce Jack mill, is when I was going, oh, this would be great. Hydropower going past a past producing mine. So our flagship asset, Scottie Gold Mine, when I was doing my due diligence, it's very well known if for the mining community, and it's one of Don McLeod's first mines. But it only operated for a few years in the early 80s and shut down in first quarter of 1984. It was recovering a half ounce per ton, 16.2 grams. That's the recovery. So the head grade had to be, with our tailings and stuff, we figured 20 grams. Extraordinary results in today's world. But it wasn't that it ran out of ore, and they didn't really do property-wide exploration, or this is what I was leading myself to believe. And what shut it down is Don borrowed $20 million from the Royal Bank of Canada in 1980. Well, the interest rate on that's 22%. And so when gold rolled over from 800, 750, pick a number, to $300 at that time, even though they was producing a half ounce per ton, I couldn't get out from under the weight. That was how I going, wow, power, past producing mine, let's go. This is 2016. I'm writing checks. Being creamed as an energy investor, which is what I'd been doing for about the last 20 years, real estate and energy. But my fatal flaw was 400 hectares. So the past producing mine, I'm looking at it. You can drive to it. There's power. But in order to attract real money, 400 hectares is so small, even though it looks big to the eye. So we went on a consolidation spree, and we started cleaning up this company. I was an investor, got frustrated, took it over, and started cleaning it up so it would be investable, even though I was, naive when I put my first checks into it. So
like we all
that's
do.
what excited me. But we've done over a dozen transactions. Now we have 58,000 hectares, all kind of in the southern end of the Golden Triangle. We owe no property payments. Everything's 100% paid for. These are important things when you look at properties. Nothing coming at us. 7 past producing mines in total. And so what we've got is a very enviable piece of land. And that's really difficult. And that took 6-7 years to consolidate those lands. Even though most of the work you see in all the news over the last few years is just in and around that original Scottie Gold Mine, we offer so much more exploration potential into the future. That being said, where are we today? Well, we had no real anything to go off of except what we saw at Scottie. Now we've found a new discovery called the Blueberry Contact Zone. We've drilled probably 40,000 meters into that. We redefined it. Very exciting. And if you look at the numbers, hard to argue. I think 15% of our holes are over 100 gram meters on that. And you go, that's fantastic if you know that I'm doing very indiscriminate spacing. I'm not drilling a hole and getting one really close because I had a great hit. It's really, 50 meter spacing to 100 meter spacing across the board as we're trying to define that. So we've been really lucky with our Blueberry. It's on surface, no helicopter needed, right on the road. We've been drilling Scottie Gold Mine every year. Well, this year we are if we were to put a resource out at the end of this drill season, knock on wood, we'd like to add that Scottie Gold ore to it. There's a 700 drill hole database there from past production, but the core was never there. So we could never verify anything. So we're doing confirmation holes at the Scottie Gold Mine. We've drilled Blueberry, and we've drilled a few brand new targets that we've been wanting to drill for a few years, and just, add a little bit more excitement. I think, one of the analysts out there this year, is suggesting 3 million ounces. I'm like, oh, that's flattering. I actually think we can articulate that we could target 2 million ounces. Of course, my resource won't be exactly 2 million ounces at this stage with the little amount of drilling.
Yeah.
But I think, we could be halfway there and then articulate. We have, we've we're very proud of what we've done all 5 drill seasons in a row, and we'll soon find out about our 6th, because assays are starting to come in now. So this year we did 10,000 meters, which is a little less than we've done in the past, but it was more about just survival and managing money well. For every other year, I'd raise my $5 or $6 million a year, and I'd spend every dollar hoping that the market would reward us for the drill results. Just never happened. Earlier this year, Franco-Nevada, we sold the royalty and a little bit of a royalty and equity, gave us just under $10 million about 4 or 5 months ago to help support us. And also Ross Beatty wrote us a nice check. So we came into this season with the most money we've ever had, but we just kind of put a budget together. We're going to get 10,000 meters in, and hopefully we'll come out of the season with $6-7 million in the good. So we just won't be always stretched, when you have no money and you go to the market to raise. So we'll try that this time. And again, we're excited about what we see. We know the rocks. I don't have any assays yet, but we like what we see for sure.
Yeah, when you say you don't have the assays yet, when do you expect to have the assays?
Well, they're starting to trickle in now. We started drilling July 15th. I suspect in the next 2-3 weeks we could have start a news train. I'd imagine after Beaver Creek. Usually you everybody tries to put one out right at Beaver Creek. You watch the Monday morning of Beaver Creek or Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Everybody will rush and put out their news. And nothing frustrates the analysts more than that, because they're chock block full. How do they their meetings start at 7:30 in the morning and they've just been traveling. So we'll see if I can get something out. That might be unlikely, but you never know. If a bunch came in today, maybe we'll frustrate the analysts, but we're soon we'll see results from that, and then God willing, we'll in first quarter of 2025, knock on wood, we'll see how long it takes to get the final assays. Maybe we'll be in the position to put a resource on.
Okay, fair enough. I want to ask you, in 2023, you drilled some 20,000 meters with some excellent results. How much of this year's drilling will be focused on the area you drilled last year? And how much of the drilling is to test the new areas, approximately, if you can say?
Okay, I don't have that right off the top of my head, but I know. So if we got 10,000 meters, only 30% of those meters are going to be at Blueberry. And that's a little bit shocking to people because it's so robust, so good, and we're not deterred anywhere. We can continue adding ounces at the same rate as we have. But one of the other tasks is we want to incorporate, if we were to put out a resource, because we have 40,000 meters at Blueberry. We're kind of in that range now where we could present something. We just felt it was important to include the Scottie Gold Mine ore. So we've got about 14 holes in there. So that might be another, 30% of the drilling. And then another 30% of the drilling is going to be on brand new targets that we've wanted to drill. So less at Blueberry, but not because we're deterred. We've just been so successful with it and the market hasn't rewarded us. So we got the C and D vein. It's been fantastic. We've been slowly going at it for a couple of years, but I mean, very nice intercepts. Got a brand new one. I think the guys called it the Golden Buckle zone. So maybe we're trying to get promotional. I was like, geez, it's a departure. But I just saw it for the first time. We have a brand new presentation just being finalized this week for getting one for Beaver Creek. That's a brand new target. We're going to drill through. No, we haven't told anybody this. You're the first guy to know. So no one's expecting it. But there's a Summit Mort fault that kind of cuts off Scottie that no one's ever really drilled through. We don't anticipate that we're going to hit, but we were so close anyways. We thought, well, let's go the extra 150. Let's drill through that. Mm-hmm. And, if it hits, that'll be fantastic. We're not going to be disappointed if not, but we could start building a model from there because no one's ever done it. If we could find another half of the Scottie, that could be pretty exciting news. So we thought we'd try to step out a little bit more than we have because we've been very conservative the last 2 years because Blueberry is just great. But that was the only thing is Blueberry. So if we're going to thread together and hope the imagination of people see there's a lot more in this system than the success we're having at Blueberry. So we're trying a few new things. And, you know, we're financially strong, so hopefully we're not going to get hurt by it. I think it was the right decision. We're happy. I mean, I would have loved to have drilled 50,000 meters this year. Really would have, but you know, the market will tell us when we'll be able to do that.
Yeah. You have 2 drills turning there. Was there any problems or all went smoothly?
Oh, there's always problems. Now, I've been doing this a long time. Nothing major, but I'm going to knock on wood. You know, get everybody out safe. But we're off the mountain with the helicopters now. No more. Oh no, I have one helipad going right now at a big 500-meter hole. And then that's the last one. So you just want to get everybody out safe. You know, we had a drill breakdown for 12 hours. You got a head breaks here, and but that's, you can't avoid any of that. Because we are, you can drive right up to our site. It's really easy for us when we come up against those issues that you have and be able to fix it. We have the town of Stewart to support those drills. Stewart and Terrace are a 3-hour drive away. So we were down for 12 hours on one drill. You know, we put a financial budget out, and you know, we were thinking, oh my God, maybe we'll get 7,000 meters with the budget we put. And we're going to get 10,000. So we're really lucky so far. Again, I know I still got 10 more days, but it's been going really, really smooth.
Yeah. So
but we should be good at it. We've been doing it long enough, right? This is our 6th drill season. So we should be able to do 10,000 meters with our eyes closed.
Yeah, exactly. So it will be drilling, then the assays, and then, like you said, beginning of 2025, mineral resource. So after that, what are the next steps? I know that we are looking maybe too far, but after you will have mineral resource, what will you do next on this project?
Well, you know, so we have mills on either side of us, one being the SCOT mill. It's just 15-kilometer drive down the road, nothing else on the road, just us. And then Bruce Jack is about 20 kilometers to the north. So we did the metallurgy work on our ore at Blueberry and Scottie, and they're compatible with both those mills. So, you know, I think a lot of us are tying us to the health of Ascot right now. And Ascot's had a few challenges, and I mean, poor Derek's had every curveball you could imagine thrown at him. And so I think we're getting, you know, painted with that brush, because, you know, a lot of people assume we come together at one time. I'm not saying that we are. But that seems to be, you know, hardly can have a conversation of anybody in the know that doesn't bring that up. But they're commissioning a mill right now. They're in the 9th, they're sliding into home plate. So I think it'll be really easy to value what that asset's worth in the very near future, in the next 2, 3, 4 months, however, but it will be pouring gold. It is pouring gold right now, but not at full operational efficiencies. I think they still are trying to get to the ore at the premier, what they want. So they're milling a lot of muck, and it's got a couple little details. They just had to put another 35 million in, of which they got done in a very, very short period of time. Of BMO did a bought deal with them about 3 weeks ago. So I think people really want to see how that goes. And maybe I'm being judged on that. Although we believe that we could be standalone, you know, and I could put 50,000 meters together this year. So I told the team, we have a plan. It's there for 50,000. The only reason we didn't do that this year is because it would destroy the original shareholders. Everybody's in, kind of traded 18 cents today or something Canadian. All my private placements are basically at this price, or 21, 22, 23 cents. So, you know, for me to go do 50,000 meters means I have to do $20 million raise. Yeah. That would be difficult for us as shareholders. And God, I used to own 20% of the company until 2019, and now I'm down to about just under 5%. So I've diluted myself out, but I'm happy to do so. I mean, I think there's a lot more value there than the $50 million that flashes on someone's screen. We don't have to go run into the market. Ascot's going to work, and I just can't see that being a bad thing for us no matter what. And we'll just keep our heads down and keep drilling. As long as the shareholders keep supporting me, then, you know, I don't have a lot of pushback from what we're doing. It's people are not happy, but they're not unhappy, meaning I've got lots of great support, kind words, encouragement, just keep going, doing what you're doing. And so I think, yeah, we just plan to put a 50,000 meter program for next year, but let's see how the market does.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
You mentioned the infrastructure over there, which you have over there, and you said like six or seven portals, shafts, rail system, and you have even an underground mill over there. And can you tell me what is the condition of all that infrastructure?
Well, it looks like a bunch of rust to me. Like I go underground, but I've had a couple engineers go in there over the years. I haven't done it in a couple of years. I've come to the conclusion that you would not refurbish that mill, even though the ball mill was put away properly. It's on blocks. The bearings were taken out. You know, the water tanks are beautiful California redwood water tanks. They all still full of holding water, and you know everything was put away properly because when Don decommissioned it in 1984. This is a long time ago. He put it away thinking that it would be running again in a couple of years. But with today's technology, so I have a mine permit of 75,000 ton a year. That would be like what the Barkerville mine had that Osisko bought. You could buy a brand new 500 ton a day mill for like $6 million from China, and I can float it right up the Portland Canal. So if somebody wanted to go mining, I think you just buy a new mill because they're not that expensive for that at that level to the one that you would refurbish. Yeah. Now, and a new mill would take 3 guys to run at 500 ton a day, where this one takes 7, if that makes any sense. And So I don't think you would use what's in there, but it's very competent rock. The rail system's there. You can still push the locomotives up and down. Like the welding shop's all still there. Like I had to go find a little O-ring. I had an excavator break a boom, and we needed an O-ring. We didn't have it. I actually went in underground and found that O-ring in the kit. So, you know, there's no bobcat there. So very competent rock, 7 kilometers of tunnels. You know, a kilometer of tunneling costs a lot of money.
Of course.
So that's all in place and with the permit. So I think that's useful. And if we were to become, again, we're explorationists, we're not miners. Somebody else would have to present themselves because we're not going to go all of a sudden. And if we had to, we'd have to get someone more appropriate to run it than me because I'm not having ever mined before. And I paid for my education to learn how to explore, believe me. But I think, yeah, we just keep our heads down and keep going standalone. These days, now you don't hear the experts say it, but, you know, you used to have a 5 million ounce deposit. That's a tier 1 asset. You got to, you know, Barrick's only going to buy things, you know, and I heard this. And again, I'll be probably one of the first guys to say it or what people, I'm going, that's when gold was $1,100 an ounce. We're $2,500. When do the cutoff, I see guys bringing their cutoffs down, but I'm going, wait a minute. I prove up 2.5 million ounces that close to surface in that jurisdiction. I think we're a little bit more desirable than people think when the time's right. Yeah.
Spot on. Let's move to your second project. It is Cambria project. What is the current stage of that project, plans and some next steps for that?
Yeah, Cambria is really exciting. We've had drill permits on it for a couple of years now. We're just not drilling it because if you look at the results we're getting at Blueberry, why? Like, you know, it's to go find something brand new out of the nowhere. But when I first started, that Cambria, what we call Cambria, was probably owned by 8 or 9 different entities in 2016, 2017. It's got an extraordinary amount of mineral showings, min files, like documented mineral occurrences, like 70 of them or something. I don't know if there's another company that has that many mineral showings on their properties, which tells us there's a system there. But because it was a patchwork before, it might not have been desirable for somebody with bigger money to come and put a proper drill program in. So I think we're doing a mapping program on it this year, as we did last year. But we've really come up with some really good business cases to drill it. much like where we were at Blueberry. I mean, Blueberry just had a vein on surface, and now look at it. We have those type of convictions there. The land's paid for. We're fine. It's just when we got such a large land package, you can't drill it all. So we'll just keep mapping on that. We're out. People keep asking to JV into it, but if the right person came along, we might consider that. But it's a pretty valuable piece of land. We're dying to go for it. That one has 5 past producing mines on it, like albeit and a lot of polymetallic. So we're getting into the silver type situations down there. Some gold as well. Yeah, it's just a matter of you just can't drill everything.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to be all over the place. Yeah. So, but we're in no duress, and we own the land, and we got permits. We just, if you're gonna drill something, in my opinion, now what I've learned over the years, you want to be putting nothing short of minimum 5,000 meters, right?
Yeah.
So it'll cost me a couple $1 million without a doubt. Probably a little bit more because it's fresh. Yeah.
Of course, you mentioned JV, and I will ask you about that. But before we do that, what is the plan for Georgia project?
Well, Georgia's fantastic. We drilled it for 2 seasons. We haven't been back in 2 years, but only because of the COVID and the helicopter aspect. We were very happy with our drill program. It's a little bit of a different system that we see at Scottie. It's more of a classic quartz vein system. And we had on the southwest vein, I think this was the vein that the Georgia River Mine was producing from way back when. And we had 4 monster hits being 150 gram meters at 4 of them, right? Like over 100 gram meters. I can't remember exactly, 74 over 4 and stuff. So, and then we went hard mapping, and on strike, we found visible gold in place on surface and 160 gram meter surface sample that appears to be similar type geology right on strike, a kilometer away or such. So, I mean, it's just begging to be drilled. But because we've spent so much money on it, it's good for 10 years for us. We could just sit on it for 10 years at the moment. We do get people asking, to JV in on that one. That would be better than most companies, in my opinion. So much exploration potential on that, but it's just part of our inventory at the moment. Again, it's, I'd love to go do 60,000 meters, and we're able to do it. We're set up to do it. We have a big warehouse in the town of Stewart. We know how to do it. It's just what's best without blowing up the shareholders. So.
Yeah. So Georgia and Cambria, those are not your core assets, so to say. So there is an option for you to JV it or maybe sell it, but at the right price, right?
It'd be the right deal. Yeah, you would. I'd just be really important to me who's doing it, right? And rather than a Howe Street hustle or the big promotion type thing. But I mean, if they're some really, really respectable geoscientists, they're like, yeah, we can make a deal. Let's drill it. It's good for my shareholders, because if you gave me, if I had to pick, I mean, I could drill 50,000 meters just at Scottie. Let's get to the 2 million, or maybe there's more. I'm not saying there is, but I mean, we're just having such success there. There's no reason to go date another girl at this moment, even though they're in the wings waiting.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make sense.
Totally.
Yeah. So, but we're blessed, and we, again, we paid for it all, so it's not really costing us any money to hold on to these things. So we're in good shape.
Okay, so the right price awaits, but are the people knocking on your door asking around about those 2 projects? I'm not asking you if you had official offer for them, but do you see interest for those 2 properties, or generally, do you see interest for quality projects in top jurisdiction like yours, BC?
No, there's lots of interest in Scottie and what we may or may not have to offer. Those concepts get thrown around lots. It's just a matter of, it just has to make sense. But no, there's no shortage of interest. I've always kind of said no to the offers in the past. But now, by the year end, I'll have a really nice comprehensive package, and you know, and again, these things aren't cheap to do. And you know, I'll make it really easy on the right group to do it early in stage, and we'll all get paid in the end if there's success. And I'll do it on drill. I'll do it on meters, right? Not necessarily big cash dollars, but we have a lot of confidence in the projects. And, you know, of course, Scottie shareholders will keep a good percentage, but I'll just do it on a meters basis. You know, go drill me 15,000 meters there and you can earn in, right? Why not? And, you know, and we have the knowledge and the know-how how to do it efficiently as well. So yeah, something like that. I just made that up in my head. I should watch myself.
Of course, I understand.
Some guy will be phoning going, hey, but I mean, in the past, I've always said no, because I want to keep that package big as we talk to these bigger corporates. And I have lots of CAs signed over the years. And, you know, I think they'd like to see, if it's 2 million, maybe they like that package all as one, right? Because they give them a generation of exploration opportunity. It's a lot of land.
Yeah.
That
Brad,
hasn't really had modern exploration.
Yeah, understand. Brad, I have to ask you that question. What is your final goal here? What is your goal? Is it to bring value to those properties and sell it, or you will run a mine? Probably not. What is the goal here?
The goal is just to look after the shareholders. I got into this as an investor. I'd like to make a return on my money. I've got about $1 million hard dollars into it. My children's money. That's how I see it. I've always, the 50 stories I've been involved in the past, I believe that if you just do what's best for the shareholders, eventually the market will turn the way it's supposed to. And yes, my role is I'm an explorationist. The whole goal of this, always since day one, is to pass this off into stronger hands after we're the exploration department for a mid-tier or a major. We just don't know which one yet. And so as long as the market supports us to do the work we've been doing, we'll just keep doing it. But I think it's getting close.
Yeah. Me too. Very good answer. Diplomatic,
but
very good.
I know you'd very hard pressed to get a meeting with me at Beaver Creek. Like, it's overwhelming how many we're turning down. It's flattering. We're seeing a very, very. I got 47 or 48 meetings booked right now. Wow. I won't be able to talk on Friday. Mm-hmm.
Lucky me for having you today. Brad, when I look at your chart for the last 2 or even 3 years, I see there was no big legs down or up. The trading was pretty, if I may use the word, conservative. Do you believe that is a result of the high percentage of strong hands shareholders? I mean, you have like more than 60% of high net worth in the institutional ownership. You have, like you said, you personally have 5% of the company, and some insiders totally 6 or 7%. So the retail here is only about 30%, right?
Correct. And, when I came into it, again, I didn't start this company. It traded for 8 years. It was all retail. I do believe I have some larger shareholders, very sophisticated. They know this business. I'm not saying they're happy, but they're not frustrated because they're also invested in 7 or 8 other stories. And sideways is the new up. That's not even funny anymore. I said that last year at one of the presentations. But, we really haven't lost anybody any money from a private placement point of view. Something to be proud of. This is a very challenging market. And for me and for there's so many other great companies out there like that, we get to know so many people working so hard, and just not working the way that we all anticipated. So I think there's a lot for us to be happy with. But I mean, I have to be aware of fatigue. Like, nobody, there's some people who, my first checks that came in was at Beaver Creek, 2019. So this would be my 6th year. Up until then, I kind of self-funded the company and never, it was just kind of my money, or if you're lucky enough to be one of my friends, then they weren't allowed to say no as I cleaned it up. But, some of those guys from the very first raise I did are still in. So nobody puts their money in thinking they want to be in here for 6 years. So I'm aware of that. Yeah. But all we can do is, I can't control the market, but we just keep good communication with our shareholders. We haven't done a ton of promotion-y things. I mean, yes, I go to these conferences. Yes, I'm constantly trying to tell my story, but we really haven't, engaged in the retail investor too much. We started doing that here in the last 6-7 months. I'm kind of been going to Miami and doing these luncheons, Atlanta, Miami. I think the US is a market that I should be really focused on, just because you want trees, you go to the forest, and there's more people and money in Florida than there is in Canada. So we've been aware of that. We've been working on that a little bit now, and I think when the market comes, and you'll see me turn it all the way to 11, then you won't be able to not see Scottie. But we've been, we get invited to all the shows that you want to go to, and asked to speak at a few things. So we're flattered. It's, my job is, because I've gone through a few cycles, just keeping people engaged. Like, I've seen this. It hasn't been this long of a sideways skip, but I mean, a lot of my younger scientists, they just almost, it's tough for them because they're so emotionally attached to the pennies on the stock market. And I just think it'll happen gradually and then suddenly, right? And when people want to come shopping for these things, what's an ounce of gold worth in the ground? That's all anyone really has to ask, right? And and you'll have, that's the answer. You really want to do due diligence. Just determine yourself, what's an ounce of gold in the ground worth? Situated we were. Not all ounces are the same, right? There's grade, there's strip ratios. Mine starts right at surface, compatible. And the other question is, how much money did one company raise in such a period of time? I'm advanced exploration. I can't speak for the new guys coming out and new stories, but you go, how much money did they raise and how many meters did they put in the ground with that money? My job is just to drill efficient holes, really. And so those are the metrics I wish people would really kind of look and go, okay, you're going to compare me with this. I've got roughly 70,000 meters in, and I've raised about, I'm not exactly sure, I should get these numbers, but probably about $38 million. So that's, and I started with 400 hectares where everything's paid for. We've got, we own all of our own equipment. Most of our equipment, we rent as little as possible. And that's why we have the cheapest, we have very, very nice drill meter costs. And, this year they're going to go up for sure from last year, because I had 3 drills turning, and this year 2. And that, I wish I had 3, because it's just, I can really cut cost, right? It's just efficient. But
Brad, what numbers are we talking with meters? How much?
Well, last year all in, and again, you have to, when people say these numbers, you really need to challenge them what it's included. That last year we were $315 a meter, and when I say all in, I'm talking geophysics and toilet paper, right? I mean, that's okay. That's a pretty good metric. This year, a little bit more helicopters. I'll probably be in around just over that $400 range, but I'm very, very happy. If one thing I can do is I can operate. I've been running camps a long time, right? And very, very proud how we operate that operation. We get more meters in, and hey, the assays speak for themselves.
Of course. Just quick return to the skin in the game. You have 5%, like you said. Are you underwater with your investment or not?
Again, this is something I should go. I started at 5 cents, in 2016, but I put, if I remember correctly, 100 grand in at 25 cents in 2018. And so in my mind, and I don't really dig down because it might depress me, but my ACB is about 14 cents is kind of, but that's a very casual, that's an arm wave number, but I'm going to be pretty close. It's going to be 13.5 to 14.5 ACB and I have roughly 14 million shares.
Okay.
I paid.
Okay. What is your current cash position as we speak, and for how long are you covered before the next financing?
Oh, I could do a whole other program next year. So my goal is to have, at the end of the season, I'll have 10,000 meters of news to release, and I should have anywhere between $6 and closer to $7 million of hard dollars in the treasury, everything paid for it. So I could do another 10,000 meters next year without going to the market. So I think that gives us a little stability, like, you know, and we'll come out with news and keep hunting for partners. Not necessarily money. Money I can raise. It's just the right money. I think that's more important in these days. So yeah, so we're in no duress. I don't have to go to the market. Sometimes I wish I drilled 20,000 meters. You know, you wake up in the middle of the night, did you make the right decision? But I think it's, you know, the market has been challenging where, you know, the last 2 years, I really caught myself last year where I spent every dollar. I said, I just got to get to 20. I got to get to 20,000 meters. And I was so fixated on that. We did it. We're very happy with the results. But, you know, I tried to raise money and, you know, and then of course, somehow magically your market goes down by 15% as soon as you sniff that you're raising money. And we had troubles raising it. We did. I mean, hey, Ross Beatty bought 5% of my company earlier this year, right?
Yeah.
That was very nice of him. And I think he's in at that 18 cents. So good, right? He's not going to trade it for a couple pennies, I hope, knock on wood. But I just learned that lesson that if you have no money, they'll squeeze you. If they got their boot on your throat, they'll get you. So we're going to come in, you know, into Beaver Creek. We're pretty strong. We're very serious what we're doing. And just like the year before and the year before and the year before that, we'll find more partners and we'll just do the best we can. And things are turning. I think it's exciting next couple of years. Yeah.
Definitely. Let's touch a bit on G&A numbers. How much is actually your monthly cash burn when you are not drilling?
Ooh, you know, I haven't worked out with when I'm not drilling. We are like 1.1 million is a year for G&A, so 100,000 and change a month.
Okay, that is with management fees.
Yeah.
And the office, are you renting an office or?
No, we own our own building, paid out 100%. Scottie owns it in Stewart.
It's your building, your ownership.
We own it. We can sleep 30 people there, 2 kitchens, 17,000 square foot. So we don't have to move the equipment back and forth every year. Shipping of equipment, right? You know, so we own trailers and blah, blah, blah. But because Stewart's such a small little town tucked away nowhere, we bought the old ACK Labs building, beautiful cinder block, metal, put a new roof on it. So, you know, the Scottie shareholders own that building, but we can, you know, camp costs. We run everything out of there and we can store everything in Stewart. So every year we're not paying, like, you know, in the first few years when I'm paying consultants to shipping stuff from Kamloops or whatever, and it's, you know, it's very expensive. I could get 2-3 more drill holes. So you know, that's one of the efficiencies. I mean, we've really focused on being efficient. Yeah, so we try not to rent anything. Of course, we rent a few trucks. We even own 3 trucks, right? We don't have a whole fleet, but you know, the beater trucks and trailers, and just so we're not renting stuff. If you know that you're going to be there for a few years, it makes sense. If you're trying to get in and out, then rent it. But so different approach for an exploration company, but I think it's done as well.
Definitely a different approach when, let's say, you own your own building and you come from a real estate also background. Can you tell me approximate value of that kind of facility you have, that kind of building?
Oh, you couldn't build it for $5 million, and I'm into it. Yeah, I'm into it. Or the Scottie's into it. I think we paid $400,000 for the building. You could not pour the cement foundation for $2 million. Like it's one of the biggest well-built buildings in Stewart. It's right on Main Street. Like you can't big Scottie sign. Like you cannot, you know, it's one of the biggest buildings in town. And like I say, I can sleep 30 people upstairs, you know, running camps. And so I'm a founder of a company called Black Diamond Camps. I know what it takes and to run camp lives. I'm a founding shareholder, not management, but Steve Stein's on my board. He started that company and we were tree planters 35, 40 years ago. And that's how we learned how to run camps. And so operationally, I know how to get that side of it done. And I was like, this makes sense 3 years ago. Because I was looking to go 400 grand. I put a new roof on the building and then we horse traded for new windows. So Ascot had a camp being built in town over the winter. There's no accommodations in Stewart. And so the camp builder, of which I know everybody in the camp business, needed a place to stay. And I go, well, you can stay in my place if you put new windows in my building, right? Because that would have cost me, you know, whatever, 50,000 or something. So they put that in. So new roof, new windows, and cinder block metal truss building. So it's solid. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Brad, final question. What and when can investors expect in terms of news flow over, let's say, in the next 6 months?
So, you know, in a perfect world, it looks like we'll have 50 holes drilled this season, 10,000 meters. Once we start the news, we like to keep it consistent. So I think that starts in the next, could be 3 weeks from now. And then we'll go right in all the way into usually. So, I mean, we're still drilling right now. And I hear the labs are getting backed up now. This is what I'm hearing from Thomas. You know, I still got another 2,000 meters to drill. I got about 8,000 meters drilled right now today and 2 more thousand to go. And you know, that goes in, that won't even make it into the lab by the time we log it and cut it until October. It'll bring us in all the way to PDAC.
Okay.
Right. So you'll have news, you know, I think October, November, December, January, February, and that's kind of where we'll stretch that news into. And yeah, so it's not long now.
Exciting times ahead. That was Brad Rourke, Chief Executive Officer for Scottie Resources. Brad, thank you very much for coming to my show. It was a great chat, and I wish you luck with all your projects out there.
Well, I sure appreciate your time. Very nice meeting you. And yeah, stay tuned. Results soon.